Gentlemen, this is Howl's Moving Castle. Hello, welcome back to Asian Cinema Season 2, and the studio... I'll leave that one in for free, fuck it. Welcome to another Studio Ghibli video slash review slash discussion with Connie. And it is Howl's Moving Castle. It's a Hayao Miyazaki film. And, oh, there's a bit of dust on that. Get that off before I show you the back cover, which is pretty cool. Kind of divisive, these silver steel books, but nevertheless, the film itself, Howl's Moving Castle, I watched for the first time in 2015 during 24-hour movie marathon for A New Hope, which I then later changed to A New Marathon. I loved it when I first saw it. It was very strange and weird and wacky, and wasn't quite as refined as Miyazaki's other films. Didn't have the strong impact on me that some of his other films had done. But that was a film Connie decided not to watch in the marathon. I think.
I didn't watch it.
No.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But when did I see it then?
It would have been.
You watched it again afterwards.
It would have been a few years after that, I think.
Huh.
Yeah. So you said something to the effect of, you watch it on your own. Like, good luck with that.
Oh,
You went to bed.
Totally.
You went to bed and I watched it and then reviewed it in the morning. So at that time, again, you were very much like, you didn't want to watch them. And so about a year or two later, we got into them. And so you saw it. So this is a rewatch for you and a rewatch for me. It's definitely in my lower end of Miyazaki's films. It's not one of my favorites.
You sure it was 2015?
It was 2015, yes.
Because that's the year I started school, so I don't understand why I wasn't interested then.
It's just what?
It was animation though.
Then again, when we did the marathon in 2015, that was right around your birthday. So you hadn't started. You started in the summer of 2015, so that was after that.
But I kind of knew that I wanted to do it by then.
Anyway, so really weird preamble there, but Howl's Moving Castle is based on a book and is about a young hat maker called Sophie who meets a mysterious wizard named Howl, and just by her encounter with him, she gets in the bad books of the Witch of the East or something. I forget what the Witch of the Waste. I forget what they call her.
I think it was Waste or something.
Yeah.
It sounds too awesome.
Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch. I was thinking that in my head. Yeah. So this evil witch comes in and curses Sophie, who's a young woman, to look like an old woman. In fact, to feel like an old woman. So she's got there's the great scene when she first realizes it, and she's like running her face through her wrinkles and like pulling down all the saggy skin and like, what's happened to me, and so she decides to go off into the mountains to find a way to reverse this, and ends up coming across Howl's actual house, which is a moving castle of sorts, a hodgepodge of wood, steel, and magic. And there's an interesting group of characters who live inside Howl's Moving Castle as it travels around the land. That's the film, really. I mean, we can go into it more, but do you remember what you thought of it the first time you'd seen it? Because you were quite keen to revisit it.
I don't remember exactly, but I must have really enjoyed it because I was really excited about revisiting it. I remember...
we'll leave that one in for free as well.
I remember liking it a lot more than I thought that I would. I think I guess I really liked Howl as well. It was different. It was kind of more like those popular anime series, with his character, because he was very like...
Yeah, I see what I mean by that. Not that I know anything about those, but I just get the vibe.
One of those good-looking boys.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a high school thing,
in
a way. But in a different way, obviously, with what he was and the relationship that he gains with the old lady / girl. But yeah, it's like he's so dreamy, you know what I mean? So it was so different. So I don't remember exactly what I thought, but I remember enough that I was excited to revisit it.
Yes.
I just remember the story, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, I want to see that again. And it didn't disappoint. I said in the end that I think this is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I think I think maybe I like it better than Kiki's Delivery Service, and I think it's mainly because I know. But it's just, I like the story, I like how, like, the animation and everything, how it's drawn. I really like how she goes from being young to old to somewhere in between all the time. And there's this one shot where she turns into a young self and then she's old again. And I really, really like that. I like Howl's Castle, and I like his character. I like that he's this good-looking
He's
man boy.
he's quite an enigmatic character, especially like the first half of the film. He's not really around much. He kind of pops in and he's a little bit like not moody, but he's this. You know, it's kind of hard to figure him out.
Yeah, not mysterious, but just like he's like one of those popular boys in schools. I got time for breakfast, but then I gotta be off. You know, I got stuff to do. You're not important enough, but I'm gonna take care of you anyway. And he's very cocky. He's very self-assured. Like he knows he's good at stuff, and he knows that he's looked up to and stuff like that. And he radiates this confidence, I guess.
But then you see that that's a bit of a show because
Exactly, and that makes it even more, I don't know, interesting. I find his character the most interesting of all of them. Even though you don't see him as much as you see her, she's kind of like the typical. I feel like she's the typical Miyazaki character in a way, and she's just placed into this world.
Yeah.
And I like the castle, how it changes the doors. I love the little kid. He's funny as well. How he puts that old man thing down.
Yeah.
And the demon fire demon.
Calcifer,
thingy. He's funny.
I mean,
he's very typical Miyazaki. I think he's the most. He's like. I feel like Miyazaki just, okay, we gotta put something typical me in this, so we gotta put the fire in it. Yeah, but he's like the way he talks and everything too.
I'd be interested to see if that's a part of the book. I'm going to assume not. It is very typical of him, but like, you know, who else would make a little blob of fire with two eyeballs? Like a character that's memorable and like, you know, has I don't want to say a range of emotions, but like the way that the flame is animated shows you the way he's feeling at times, and you know the expressions come out. Like it's just really clever the way that that's done. But
because he has a mouth as well.
Yeah, okay, of course, yeah, the eyes and mouth, yeah.
Yeah. It's just really good. I don't know. It's never boring to me. I end up caring about Howl, which is interesting because he seems like almost like the bad guy in a movie that you're not supposed to really like, but then you just pity him in a way, and then you empathize with him, and then you just love him in the end, and or during. I don't know. Maybe it's different because I'm a girl as well, because I'm kind of like putting myself in her position, and like the crush that you get on that boy, you know. When I was a kid, I always had crushes on cartoon characters. I think X-Men was my first crushes, actually. I don't remember which ones, but I saw it on the TV and I just fell in love with, I guess, the concept, but I loved every character. Like, I had a crush on the characters.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think even Storm, you know, it didn't matter because they were just like, the X-Men. I don't think I ever watched it again because we didn't have Cartoon Network or, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's possible to have a tiny crush on cartoon characters, and I feel like he would be the character that I would have a crush on if I was younger.
Yeah.
And that's why it also intrigues me more, I guess. Yeah, I just think it's clever animation with the old and the young stuff that she goes through.
Also, like the use of digital effects very, very loosely, where it's. I'm
talking a lot now.
I just started talking, and she just did like a twisting motion with her hand as if like turn the camera to you when you're talking. So the use of like digital, like he's been toying with it for like a few years. Like in Mononoke there's a little bit of it, in Spirited Away there's a bit more of it. In this one, like I think the castle is, I don't think it's like CGI, but it's like I think I remember reading that some of it, like obviously you can see the titular castle there. So I think bits and pieces of it are hand drawn, but they're kind of like digitally manipulated. And I know there's an integration of digital effects I think is done in a way that doesn't make it feel any less of a 2D, hand drawn film. I don't know. I like the way that that's done. And like you were saying with Sophie, where she's like this, as old as you can get. Like they go so far into the wrinkles and everything. And as the film progresses, you begin to realize that she becomes more. I don't know. She kind of grows into it, and she seems to become. It's like
instead of having a hunchback, she stands up straight, and you can tell that she's not like the fat old crunched down woman.
So she's like
standing straight.
She's got a hunchback like when she first turns really old. But it's almost like a coming of age movie, where for her to come of age as a young woman, she has to be an old woman first.
Yeah.
So as she kind of takes charge of like cleaning up the castle and stuff, and kind of her confidence grows, and we get to see little flashes. I love how when she's asleep, when she's sleeping, she's young again. Yeah. When someone else is looking at her, because it makes you think that maybe it's this thing where it's almost. Not that she sees herself like an old woman, but when she's asleep, she's not thinking about it, and so she doesn't look like it. It's a really intriguing.
It's those little things that make me really love the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just got little hints here and there, and just little details.
And it's not like she steadily gets younger as the film goes on. She'll look a little bit younger, but then she'll go back to it goes back and forth, and it's dependent on the situation, and.
And it's not so noticeable that you're like, oh, she's young, oh, she's older. It's more like...
You're like, oh, wait a minute.
Is she looking younger?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that kind of thing.
Very subtle.
Yes. And it's just...
Damn.
It's really well done.
Now we're talking about it, I'm thinking it's better than I think it is. I still think it's great.
When you pick it apart, you see how brilliant it is. And the stick man as well. You didn't even mention him. He was a big part of it.
Well, yeah, we haven't really. I mean, again, we're not really covering everything, but there is the Scarecrow character who, again, I mean, he doesn't even have like a facial animation in terms of expression. It is literally just a bouncing, bobbing Scarecrow, and yet somehow there's a
pasted-on smile on a turnip.
She
calls him Turnip.
Yeah.
Turnip head. How he helps her. He helps her find the castle.
Oh and
helps them hang up laundry and stuff.
Yeah, so that's another plus when you have a character like that who is just a very basic, design, and yet you get some sort of sense of character out of it. Not as much as Calcifer, but there's certainly something there that I find impressive based on the limited design of it and everything. But
if there's something I don't like about the movie, it's the old witch.
Well,
she just bugs me. I just want to just kick her out. Just get rid of her.
Oh, now I like this because she's this you can tell that this is someone who's just gone so far off the rails and has very powerful magic, and when she gets kind of all of her power stripped away from her, she becomes this shell and just this really old woman, and she kind of comes along and becomes part of the family, and it's a really weird. I find it really endearing, even though there's still a little bit of her meddling ways in there. And that kind of comes into play at the very end of the film.
She almost screws everything up.
Yeah.
And it's just the way she is. She's just like, oh, just keep your filthy paws to yourself. Just go in that corner and sit there and just get out of the movie.
I don't know. I find it quite sweet, and I like how she becomes part of the group and everything. It's really interesting.
It just shows how Sophie is just good through and through, I guess.
Yeah.
Keeping her with everything that she's done.
And now it suddenly makes all the sense in the world to me why this might be your favourite over Kiki. Because there's a pretty boy in it, and you've got a little bit of a thing for him. So I see. I understand.
Are you jealous?
Huh?
Are you jealous?
No, it's nothing to do with jealousy. It's just now I understand why you prefer it over a film that I think is far superior.
It touches a part of my
personality?
Child self.
Okay.
Like when I had crushes on cartoons. Yeah. I had a crush on Casper. The friendly ghost. Not the ghost itself, but Devon Sava when he turns into a boy.
Right, okay. That's almost
like my favourite part. And
I did know that, but I was kind of like...
I told you about that, but when I was like, I think I was like 10 or 11 when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, can I keep you? Can I keep you? And he turns into Casper again, and it's still like... It's such a sweet thing. Anyway, I'm sure I've had crushes on like... animated characters from Japanese movies as well, but he's a pretty boy, and it's just when it's like Twilight as well. You read a book, you don't even see the character, but you fall in love with the characters anyway.
I have a question for you. How do you feel about the war element in the film, where there's this kind of almost a nameless war going on the outside of the story that Howl is very heavily involved in and is fighting in, but it's never really kind of revealed what it is or anything like that. How do you feel about
I
that?
had forgotten about it until you told me now.
Yeah, it's like it's like a big part of the story that isn't really a big part of the story, if that makes sense. Like
It's his story.
it's his story,
I guess.
yeah.
I think they should have maybe covered it more.
Yeah.
But then maybe it would have been too dark.
Perhaps, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like a lot of the antagonist parts in the movie isn't explained enough when I think about it. But maybe I just want the goody things. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like the struggle is supposed to be him being torn apart by the war and how he's well, not torn apart but turned into his true self or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, when you mention it now, I was like, oh yeah, right, there's a war. That's why he's turning into this flying thing.
One thing I'd forgotten about in revisiting it was the scene where, and you know, if you don't want any spoilers, then you can check out the video now, and thanks for watching. The scene when Sophie sees Howl as a young boy when he first meets Calcifer. I'd forgotten about that. It's a really good scene. I do think at the end it kind of ties everything up in a very fairy tale kind of way that is almost untypical of Miyazaki, where it's like it's almost like it's spelling out to. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess too cliche, but I appreciate that, and it fits, I think, with the kind of fairy tale, wacky, weird, you know,
connection,
tone of the story, and yeah, I like how Sophie basically ends up young again at the end, but with the grey hair.
Yeah,
I think that it's just a cool. It's almost like just kind of
a
reminder. Yeah, it keeps that part of her story and her life kind of
and
with her
personality.
And her personality. Yeah, so it's kind of like she's been reborn in a way. And so, and I think it looks cool as well. So it's like I like it when they kind of a character goes through a change like that, and you can see it visually at the end. But anything?
Have that in X-Men too.
True. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add with Howl's Moving Castle? How about the music? The score never really stands out to me too much.
I can't remember it right
now.
now.
Okay.
No. I can. Yeah. No, that's Laputa.
Castle in the Sky. Yeah.
Different
castle movie. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure the score must be very good. It's Hisaishi, but it doesn't have like a memorable kind of signature theme that I can recall like with other movies in the Ghibli series. Anyway, so I love it. I think it's great. I love how weird it is, and maybe I don't know. I don't want to say it's his weirdest film. Spirited Away is probably his weirdest film, but. Yeah, for sure, actually, thinking about it. But yeah, it was really fun revisiting it, for sure. I like that it's one that's not my favourite, but you really love it. I like that we have that kind of difference, you know.
Well,
it's just...
Yeah, it's like with Porco Rosso with you.
Sure, yeah.
That's like my least favourite, and that's your number one favourite.
I think we should revisit it.
We have to, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think when we watched it the first time, I was expecting something completely different.
Yeah, that was many years ago.
And I bought it for you in Japan as well.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about that. So, Howl's Moving Castle, big thumbs up from both of us, and I really enjoyed hearing your thoughts about why you enjoyed it. So, anything else?
Don't get too jealous.
Don't get too jealous. Yeah. Well, you know, I could
He's
always.
only beautiful on the inside.
I could always dye my hair blonde and then black.
Personally, I think you look better with ginger. Okay.
Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans and calling into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.